Good afternoon. Welcome to the St. Martin Parish Council Committee meeting of Tuesday, April 15, 2025 at 4:30 in the Carol Fusilli Meeting Room of the St. Martin Parish Government Annex Building. Please silence all cell phones and remove all hats. The public may comment upon any item which requires a vote by the St. Martin Parish Council. We ask that you fill out a request to speak form located in the back of the room. Once completed, you can bring it to the sheriff deputy and he will bring it to me. I'd like to call the meeting the Public Works meeting to order with a prayer led by Council Clerk Ms. Brooke Thibodeau.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Amen.
Mr. Kelly, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Everybody's present except Ms. Narcisse, Mr. Portier, Mr. Melisson, and Mr. Alexander are excused.
Item 1, Dr. Megan Seymour, DVM, Country Place Veterinary Clinic, to share a building donation proposal for the St. Martin Parish Animal Shelter.
She's not here right now, so we're just moving to the bottom of the agenda.
Item 2, Donald Segrera, Executive Director of Tesh Vermilion Freshwater District, to give an update on Tesh Vermilion Freshwater District's current projects.
Mr. Segura?
Thank you very much. I'd also like to but recognize your commission member on the Tesh Vermilion Freshwater District, Tommy Thibodeau. So very pleased to give you a little bit of information about some of the things that are going on at Tesh Vermilion Freshwater District. I'd like to pass out this diagram or proposal for some construction that's going to be taking place in St. Martin Parish, and it's going to be the structure that we have on the roof canal. And I'd like to start off by, I have a map of the watershed and the district. I'd just like to briefly show you what it is that Tesh Vermilion Freshwater District does in the watershed, and then talk about some of the things that are going on that affect St. Martin Parish. So I brought this map which shows the district and the different water bodies that flow through the district. This is Interstate 10. This is Highway 190. Opelousas is right here. This is Krotz Springs. This is the Atchafalaya River. This is the West Atchafalaya Protection Levee. This is the levee that forms the floodways on the east side of the levee, and the protected land is on the west side. So on the west side of the levee is a borrow pit canal that goes all the way down through Catahoula Lake, through Lake Dotree, Lake Falls Point, and then out here at the Sherrington Canal. This is the this is where the Vermilion River, of course, this is Bayou Teche, starts at Port Barry. That's where it intersects with Bayou Catawba. and the water that flows through Bayou Teche is gravity fed from Bayou Catawba, and the gravity flows through St. Martinville, Breaux Bridge, St. Martinville, and down all the way through New Iberia. So the Vermilion River is fed right at Orneville through Bayou Fusilier. Is where the connection is from Teche to the Vermilion. There's also a connection right south of Breaux Bridge. It's the Ruth Canal located in St. Martin Parish. And there is a structure on that canal that was built in 1945. The canal was actually dug in the early 1900s. And the structure that's currently on it is about 80 years old. So it is, and we have determined that it is in need of a replacement. So one of the things that we have, an engineering firm right now has come up with a plan on exactly how this is going to happen, and we passed around a picture that shows the canal. This is, I'll just try to show that this is the Ruth Canal. This is the structure. And you can see that in order to replace the structure, one of the things that we're going to have to do is to build a bypass channel around the existing structure. So that'll be the first phase. That bypass channel itself is going to have a structure on it to be able to regulate the flow between the Teche and the Vermilion while the old structure is being rebuilt. Once the bypass structure is built and able to operate, then we're gonna put sheet piling across the Ruth Canal on each side of the structure. So we will completely de-water the old structure, and then we'll be able to just take out the old structure and put in a new one. So I guess the engineering has already been done. We're going to be doing soil boring soon to determine what the condition of the soil is. That's going to need to be known to be able to know how deep to drive the piles that form the cofferdam. So all of that first phase is probably going to take a couple of years before the bypass channel is put in, and then that cofferdam is going to be put in. So the whole project, we're probably talking about 3 to 4 years for it to be completed. So I would think that it would probably go out for bids within the next year or so. So in addition, does anybody have any questions on that project?
Questions?
I'd like to just mention a couple of other things that might be of interest to you. Earlier this year, we were at a levee board convention in New Orleans and found out that there were some grant opportunities for doing drainage work. So Chris and I were talking about some things that could be done in our area, and it was mentioned that cleaning of trees from the Keystone Locks north to, see, here's Keystone, all the way north upstream to Port Barry. So we, we talked with the people at the Corps that were in charge of the grant. They agreed that it was, that would have been a good project to apply for, so we applied for the grant. Then a couple of weeks after we applied for it, they called us and said, we're not going to be able to go forward with the grant because the Corps has determined that they were going to come in themselves and remove the trees. So they have a plan to come in and remove the trees from Keystone Locks to Orneville. So they would stop it right with, and I think that's about where the St. Martin Parish line ends. What they were, I think what they intend on doing is removing trees that are in the bayou and logs that are in the bayou, but they don't have any intention of dredging any deeper than it is. It's just
Snag.
clearing, snagging and grub, I think is the term, proper term for it. During that phase of the project, they recommended that if we want to go to up to Port Barry, and this part would benefit the Tesh Pavilion project because it would help the flow come down. So while they're in this area, then we're going to talk with them and see if we can get them, if they need help from us, to try to go the rest of the way, all the way to Port Barry. So some of you might have been familiar with the project that they did for Keystone Locks downstream. They had a big boat, a large boat in there, but they are not going to be able to use that big boat on this stretch because they have bridges. They were not going to be able to get it through the structure. They have bridges to go under, so they're, and I talked to them today, because they were at another project that we were working on, and they said they're still trying to figure out exactly how they're going to do it, how they're going to get barges in and taking care of the logistics, exactly how the project is going to go. So, but we'll be keeping in touch with them and passing on that information to Pete and Chris to keep you informed as we go. So, any other questions?
Questions? Pete, you have any questions?
I just want you to educate me. I know it was the actual use and service of the Tesh Vermilion Water District. It was brought to my attention is the movement of water, the oxidization of the water, and due to that movement, keeping out the intrusion of the salt water. If you can kind of touch on that and get, why your development and what you do and the end result of this, all of it, you're talking about the structures and you're building this and doing this, it's all for a reason. So if you could just kind of briefly identify the reason that what your division does.
Oh, great. Okay, glad to. So one of the things, whenever these protection levee was put in after the flood of 1927, I'm sure you were not anywhere around at that time, but there was you heard about the flood that occurred way back then. But as a result of that flood, the Corps of Engineers put in these floodways and protection levees, and whenever that was done, before that was done, there was a natural flow of water flowing through our part of the watershed that came from the Atchafalaya River. So whenever that was put in, it cut off that natural flow. So and this was done back in the 1930s. So over time, that lack of flow caused there to be a deterioration of water quality in our watershed. It got so bad in the around the 1950s that the local governing bodies and civic organizations started lobbying for there to be something done about the poor water quality. And the Department of Public Works for the state did a study of Bayou Teche and the Vermilion River, and they put out a report on that study. And what they found out was that there was very poor water quality. There was saltwater intrusion coming up the Vermilion River that was threatening a groundwater aquifer about 8 miles upstream of Vermilion Bay. There was very poor water quality in Vermilion River as well as in Bayou Teche, and there was a lack of water quantity in upper parts of Bayou Teche. So this study concluded that the reason for that was that there was a lack of flow of fresh water through that area, and the way to solve that problem was to put in a pump station to pump water from the Atchafalaya River into the water bodies that were suffering. And that report was put out in 1956. And then our ancestors, they started lobbying. They put in a lot of effort. So between 1956 And 1982 is whenever the pump station was finally built. So it took 30 years of lobbying and convincing to get it done. But the reason for the project was to restore the flow of fresh water through the watershed that once existed. So the pumps were put in, so the pumps have been in place and functioning since 1982. And since then, the problems that existed before, the stagnation, has been eliminated. The saltwater intrusion in the lower part of the Vermilion has been eliminated. The lack of water quantity in Upper Bayou Teche has been eliminated. So the project has accomplished all of the goals and the missions of our forefathers. So that's, Pete, does that pretty much
Yes, sir.
answer the question? So what would happen, there is part of this watershed goes all the way up to Alexandria. So whenever you get adequate rainfall in that part of the watershed, this feeds just by runoff, this feeds Bayou Teche and the Vermilion River. But then whenever you go through periods of low rainfall, then you don't have that runoff from the north. And that's what triggers us pumping to restore that flow. And on the average, or the 10-year average, that happens about 185 days per year, almost half the time that we have to pump. And half the time it's rainfall runoff that is furnishing the flow. So when it's raining, then we stop the pumps. And then all of that rainfall comes down, like right now, the Corps just today shut down the Catawba drainage structure. So within the next couple of days, if it doesn't rain, then we'll have to start pumps to restore the flow. So it's really been a pleasure, and we've always had a lot of support from St. Martin Parish, and we certainly appreciate working with y'all and all the support that you give us.
Any questions, other questions? I don't have a question, but I want to make a compliment to Mr. Donald Segura on the job that he does, because I've been involved with the project since I got on the council in 2016. And I can tell you a lot of flood events it's a freshwater system, but we worked with Donald very closely. And a lot of our flood fighting events that we had, 16, 18, 19, 23, we were able to reach out to Donald. Donald was able to slow the pumps down. At some point in time, we were able to stop them. Just had to maintain a certain level of water at the tower. We were able to get permission. And Donald was the one that got this all done to be able to lower the water levels to help. And every inch that we can drop helps us because it gives us that much more water to be able to pass water and take water through St. Martin Parish. So I want to just say commend you, Donald, on the performance you do and with the job you do over there. You do an outstanding job, second to none, first class. And I'd like to thank Mr. Tommy Thibodeau for the years of service that he's given to this board, because he represents us well. And if you don't believe me, ask the other council members over there. We get our share. Tommy's a good voice for us, and he really does. He does a good job representing us. So I just thank y'all both for what y'all do on this project. And without this thing, we wouldn't have water. If we didn't have the Teche Vermilion, Pete brought up the fresh, what it does for, it keeps the saltwater intrusion in Vermilion. So each parish benefits at a different level. If we didn't have it, we'd walk across the Bayou Teche and Bow Bridge. The Bayou Teche would be dried up at some point in time. And Lafayette Parish, they wouldn't be able to run those sewer plants they have over there. Because the sewer plants, the water quality would be so bad, they would have to shut it down. So it benefits every parish that it services. And the one good thing about it is the way that it was formed and put together, that when we pass the millage, it's not individual parish, it's all the parishes combined taking the millage pass. Donald doing an outstanding job of making sure that they keep funding ahead of themselves to be able to afford to do these projects, because when we had it, we spoke briefly before the meeting, and the project they're doing right now is part of what I'm saying, a job they're doing, the way they work with the money is these jobs all be paying for, and there's no money being brought to do these projects. So thank y'all for what y'all do.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Thank y'all.
Yeah, the root canal is gonna be about an $8 billion project, so just to give y'all an idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any extra copies of it? Here it is.
Okay, we have an extension this afternoon. I need a motion and a second to extend the agenda to allow Superintendent Frederick Wills to address the council. I have a motion by Mr. Clay, second by Ms. Jean-Baptiste. Call for a vote. Vote pass.
St. Martin Parish Superintendent Frederick Wills to discuss the parish-wide school district proposition bond on the ballot of Saturday, May 3rd, 2025.
Mr. Wills?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for allowing me to come and speak on behalf of this St. Martin Parish School Board about this upcoming bond proposition. As mentioned, it will be on the ballot May 3rd. It's important for the public to understand that there will be no expected increase to our current millage. This is a renewal. What's vitally important about this project here, or this proposition, is that our district wants to utilize much of the funding to continue the upgrades that we've done in our district. As you're aware, it's probably or nearly impossible to build a new school given the current economic climate that we're in. So maintaining the current facilities that we have is vitally important. One of the things that I've recognized over the years is traveling to neighboring districts is our facilities are in very, very good condition, and we'd like to keep those. Our maintenance department does a phenomenal job of keeping our facilities in place. So what we did was probably 2.5 months ago, we started meeting with administrators and just asking them for a wish list items or big ticket items that they needed or they were concerned about on their campuses. And what you'll see in the handout that I issued to you, attachment A1, should be the capital improvement plan. And I'll just point out quickly, like I'll use Bromwich High School as an example. The intercom system at Bromwich High School is the original intercom system that was installed in 1973. So that's something that they put Band-Aids on, they put tourniquets on, and it's still working, but it's not working as it should. Some of the bigger projects that we were concerned about or we want to discuss and hopefully have come to fruition are security upgrades across the district. One of the big items that we talked about was having a computer and security system that ties into the sheriff's office and the local police departments, so that in an instant they can tap into what's happening on our campuses. As a public body, you understand that parents are very concerned now more than ever about safety and security in our schools, and that's vitally important to us. And that's why I think we only have one school that's left without a secure access point. So that's the last school that we're going to work on. But just having that safety and security, that peace of mind for parents, knowing that they're dropping their babies off to us and they're secure throughout the entire school day, and then we're transporting them back home. One of the reasons we're able to authorize bonds is because we pay off much of the existing debt that we have. We have an A+ rating with Standards & Poor's, and we refinance a lot of the bonds that we've had in recent years to the point where we saved the taxpayers $2.1 million. So that's something that we're very, very proud of. Our finances have been historically stable, so that's a big point in why we're able to go out for these bonds. And we always do the right thing with the bond. And it's not necessarily about one area of the district. It's a project where we want to touch every single part of the district. If you look at what I've submitted to you, it's based on the total number of students at each one of those schools. So those numbers are rough numbers, but again, once those big projects are done, then those smaller projects that schools have in mind can be done as well too. A big concern for parents is, with the excessive heat at the start of school is how do you transport kids without air conditioning on buses? So as part of that issue, we want to try to start moving and transitioning to purchasing buses with air conditioning and transitioning out those older buses and only using them for emergency purposes. So those are a lot of some of the things that we want to do. We encourage people to ask questions, to come out and support what we're trying to do as a district. I tell this to people all the time. Education is a profession that creates all other professions, and that's why it's so important that we make sure that we mold and build the children of today, because they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow. You can't become a doctor if somebody doesn't teach you how to become a doctor. You don't become a lawyer if somebody doesn't teach you how to do those things. So teaching is the foundation for everything that happens within our community. Businesses don't come into an area just because they want to come into an area. One of the first things that they look at is the school system. We're proud that we're a B district. We're going to continue to work and push because we want to be an A district. We talk about how our students are no different than students in any other parish, and that's why it's important that we provide them with the safe and secure facilities and places where they want to be there, and parents want to have their kids in our public schools. So again, thank you for your support. I'm hoping that we do have the support of the community and the citizens of St. Juan Parish, because this is vitally important for the work that we do as a school system. So I'll entertain any questions if you have any.
Any questions from the council? Ms. Jean Baptiste?
I just have one.
Yes, ma'am.
First impression is a lasting impression. So with all of this, one of the things that I hope y'all take into consideration is general exterior work. The painting, making the names of the school stand out. I know you're doing a marquee, but even just like the names on the school, it's not visible. And so just the general appearance, because we want to attract, and I love the work that you've done with the STEAM academies, and just passing, it catches your eye. So with some of our school, it's kind of lost in the mist. So just general pressure washing, painting, upgrading, if that could be considered and be a part of that plan to advocate.
That's a very good point, and those are not really the big ticket items, but those are items that I have a general wish list from the schools with some of those smaller things like, hey, we'd like to have our benches painted, we'd like to have our walkways painted, we'd like to have what you see at the STEAM schools, which is phenomenal. It's eye-catching. You're passing on Main and you see that it's very eye-catching, and people want to come in and see what's happening there. So those are some very valid things, and those are some of the things that we want to do. A lot of the things that some of the schools have listed are things that you don't think about that they want. They want comfortable seating in the cafeteria. They don't want the kids bunched up in the cafeteria. That's not something that you really think about on a day-to-day basis. But kids ask for stuff like that because it's stuff that they want to do. If you'll see that we have playground equipment, and I know that the big emphasis is on, hey, we have to school performance scores and everything, but kids need to be kids. And I think we've moved too far away from the idea that children are like robots and they should only be concerned about test scores and not being children. And I think that's part of the reason why we lose so many of them, because we don't allow them to be kids when they're in grade schools. We just want them to be robots and worry about a school performance score. That score is going to come if all the other factors are in place. So that's one of the reasons why I don't emphasize too much heavily on pressuring kids to perform well. They're going to do well if they're given the right environment to perform in. They're going to do well.
Yeah, because I just believe from a counseling and a mental health perspective, if the place is inviting, it's attractive, appealing, comfortable, then those other things may come into, play. The kids may be comfortable. Learning could be better received from that. So just take that into consideration, as it may not be a big ticket item, but it should be a first ticket item.
Yeah. Thank you for that too.
Any other questions from council members? Mr. Wilson, just a question, I know like some of the schools, like I went to school in the city area, I know like Texas, Manchester, the primary, those schools are getting very old, and is there outlook to start building new schools in the future, or? And I say they get old, I know they're well maintained, and they kept up and all, I was just wondering if there's, because in today's world, I understand it's about educating the youth and all, but now with the safety factor of the school and making sure they're safe and protecting the kids, I'm sure, like with all the modern stuff that we have to do, it's expensive and it costs us, but I just was wondering if there was ever talk of, in the near future, of building new schools, or if we're looking at that?
Yeah, there's been a discussion about, the possibility of looking at areas. I'll tell you, the Cecilia area is an area that's constantly expanding.
Yeah.
So that's something that we've taken a look at, but the concern is the cost, what amount of money would cost to build a new school. Right now, we're in a comfortable place, but those plans are always discussed because we know that in the future, eventually, that's going to have to happen. So, they're building a lot of new subdivisions in the Cecilia area, which is great for St. Martin Parish. It's a great thing, wonderful, beautiful neighborhoods that are coming up. But we have to keep in mind when those neighborhoods come, so that you also have the increase in student population, which is something you have to account for. So that's something that we're always taking a look at. Each and every year, at the end of the year, we kind of assess where our numbers are, where we've gained and where we've lost, to determine, hey, do we need to do something? And one of the last things that we don't want to do is the idea of having to put portable buildings there. So we'd rather have something that's uniform, that fits the facade of the school, rather than putting a portable building there. So in the future, that may be something that we'll have to truly consider.
Right, but in the last few years, y'all got away from the portable buildings, the expansions of the schools and stuff, so.
Just to kind of keep it uniform, you want something that's nice and inviting, and the portable buildings, they only have a certain amount of shelf life, so at some point, it's like they wear out, and then the money that you spend on it, you can easily spend it into building something which is much more stable and much more, you get your return on investment from it. So.
And we saw it in the last, we just went through reapportionment, we saw the growth of the parish, and it looked like around the Brookridge High School area there, we had a big growth, and we had a very big growth in the Cecilia community, and we see it growing and expanding over there, so a lot of younger people moving to that area. Is your Becky?
Is this a renewal of or a new one?
It's a renewal. So it's that's why I stress there's no increase in a burden to the taxpayers, because it's a renewal.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Discussion of ordinance summary number 1487 OR, an ordinance setting the speed limit to 20 miles per hour on Clovis Huval Road, located in District 5.
This was brought to my attention in my district, it's a road, like, we have a few of them that we come across every now and then, just have a speed limit on it. So for the sheriff department to go out there and enforce the speed limit and do it, we need a place for speed limit on it, so it was a request by the residents in that area.
Discussion of ordinance summary number 1489 OR, an ordinance reducing the extent of the servitude rights of St. Martin Parish government from 100 feet to 29 feet on the western side of the drainage channel designated as L35D, where it borders parcel number 05201A 3624.
Mr. Castillo?
Ms. Borrell came into the planning zone trying to get a permit for electricity. Had the drainage supervisor go out to L35-D to look at it. Shows a reduction from 100 foot to 29 feet. We actually service this canal from the opposite side of this residence. And this mobile home has actually been there for 2 or 3 years.
So, will we maintain 100 foot on the opposite side of the streets?
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the council?
Consider the adoption of a resolution authorizing Parish President Pete Delcom to execute change order number 1 in the amount of $741,593.19 decrease for the sales tax number 1 road improvements project by Elliott Construction LLC.
Mr. President,
This is the, as of now, these are the numbers that we're looking at in return. Doing good job with the projects that we had out there. The last project being the Doyle Melanson actually came in $200,000 under the initial projected budget. So all billings have not been accepted yet. So this is just preliminary numbers as we are, as you can see in number 6, we are proposing the adoption of a resolution to do the certificate of substantial completion. So this is not the final say-so as to what we will be receiving in overage on these projects. Also coming to play, we have a 50-50 with the city of Breaux Bridge on that Doyle Melanson extension. So we need to collect about $250,000 from Breaux Bridge to be able to make this number a reality, and that has not occurred yet either. So this is just preliminary. We will have some return on these things, and as the substantial completion gets closer to completion and all the billings are received and paid, we will be able to update this number and give you a more reflective balance of what we're dealing with.
Mr. Corville?
So this is where the extra last month when you talked about we may be coming across some more money for the next set of road projects. This is where this is coming from?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, bear in mind, we also have engineering fees, et cetera. We're just looking at, in fact, you'll see that we are in the process of going to DDG, the engineering firm that's doing the new projects. And so there is, always keep in mind that you have about a 10% engineering fee assessed to the construction process. So as always, and as these road projects are perennial, to where we've got it to where we're using sales tax number 1 to fund our road projects. And as it has been working over the last years, we will always have this influx and transition of new sales tax money coming in, road projects being completed. We're very, very blessed that we have an overage in this account at this time. Sometimes it doesn't go in that manner. Sometimes you have multiple change orders, things come up to where this number may not be as productive as we see now. So we just need to take each year into consideration. Moving into the next year, we have the number of road projects that y'all gonna see in the President's report. We will be going out to the engineering firm. They're in the process of putting together their program. Again, I was gonna talk about this later, I'll talk about it now. We will be taking these projects, let's say with the engineering, hopefully by the summertime, getting into the process of completion of engineering, going into the bidding process. We're looking at possibly starting these new road projects into the possible 3rd or 4th quarter of this year, and then culminating sometime in 2026. So that's a tentative schedule that we'll be dealing with the new sales tax 1 road projects.
So on the parish president's report, the list of roads that you gave us per district, that's the roads that we're working on?
That's the road we're working on. That's the ones that have been given to the engineer. They are engineering as we speak. Budgetary numbers have been put into place. We should be able to complete all of those on that listing. The roads that did not make the listing, of course, we have a historical listing and would be bumped up to the upper sections of next year's sales tax district monies.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Consider the adoption of a resolution authorizing and directing the parish president to execute for and on behalf of St. Martin Parish Government a certificate of substantial completion pertaining to the sales tax number 1 road improvements project, St. Martin Parish, Louisiana.
as I explained before, this, certificate of substantial completion, it starts the process of warranting. Okay, until we actually do this and we've gotten to the point the engineer has signed off and said that these roads are tentatively or technically complete. We may have a little bit patching on the sides of the roads or just some minimal things to bring them to completion. Over 90% of all the billings have been put into place and have been paid. So we've gotten to a point where we're coming to closure on this road project. So this is the reason for the substantial completion, and we'll move forward from there.
Consider the adoption of an ordinance reducing the extent of the servitude rights of St. Martin Parish government from 100 feet to 25 feet on the northern side of the drainage channel designated as L34B, where it borders parcel number 06102B3419.
Mr. Castillo?
This reduction was brought to our attention from Gidger's Catfish. They're in the process, the state's doing all their drainage work right there right now. And they want to expand their office building. And before this, I guess the reduction was in place, their parking lot is actually up to there already. And there's a fence. So we still have access to clean the drainage canal from the road. So once again, we went out there with the drainage coordinator, and we all knew we have enough room to still clean from the road.
So, yeah, 'cause right now they're using it all the way up to there, it's just as, because when we dug, we did that project about 4 years ago, and we dug it from the roads.
Yes, sir, it's on 3 Henderson Highway.
Right. Any questions for council? Just clear that's in the district. All right, thank you.
Questions from council members on parish issues?
Guess we'll start on one at the table, work to the rest. Mr. Louvier?
I don't have any.
Mr. Clay? Corville? Mr. Jean-Baptiste?
Mine's been addressed.
Okay, I have a question, but I'm gonna bring it, I had spoke with Mr., about the new administration, about the issue with the campground and with the roads and some stuff, but we're gonna talk about that after. I think it's just about discussion of following up on some projects. I don't have anything for my district.
Completed constituents work order for request forms for March 2025 were emailed to you.
Okay, we're gonna pause the public works meeting in case Ms. Simon will get here before our meetings are finished. And we're just gonna go straight into the administrative meeting. St. Martin Parish Council Administrative Finance Committee meeting, Tuesday, April 15, 2025, at 5:14 is now called to order.
Item 1, discussion of ordinance summary number 14900 and ordinance setting the millage rates for the tax year 2025.
Any questions from the council?
Item 2, consider the adoption of an ordinance to create the position of social media / special project manager, to add that position to the St. Martin Parish pay schedule, and to assign the position to pay range 10.
Mr. Delvin, you wanna discuss?
Yeah, we have 3 individuals that currently work for the tourism. Miss Brandy, who came in, she was initially brought in as a receptionist. Now, the tourism department per se is not the conventional department as we see in parish government. Between Miss Megan and Miss Brandy and Miss Lacey, they are all over the country, literally. They are all over Louisiana, literally. Their media input and what they do in regards to the tourism department is something that we cannot classify as in other areas of St. Martin Parish government. So therefore, bringing Miss Brandy in originally as a receptionist, this has morphed into, she is doing a lot of technical work, she is doing a lot of media work, a lot of design work, and as such, I feel, and Ms. Lacy feels that her position should be reclassified, and I think it's justifiable so. So this is, we're bringing this, putting her into another pay range and adding to the listing of requirements that are needed in that job position. And this is exactly what we're doing here.
Any questions from the council?
I might add just one thing is that when Ms. Lacy comes with a request, it's a lot easier for me to make a decision when I can see the numbers of her department, the monetary numbers, and that, you know, she's doing this, and this, and then I can look at a spreadsheet of what she did 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and this year, and there is a marked increase. You know, so it's very easy for her to be able to justify, we're doing this, we're working, and then to justify moves such as this, you know. So that being said, I'm all in on this thing.
I would support this because since a lot of y'all know since Lacy's been there, what she's done with the department, how she's turned it around. We have more expense in that department now, but we're also taking in a lot more revenue. There's a lot of outside revenue that's coming in through grants and different programs that she's bringing in. And if you follow the millages and see what's coming in and stuff, motel tax has been on the rise, so it's been pretty good. That's all goes according to what she's doing out there by promoting and selling this parish and getting people to come here, so. Just wanted to point that out.
Item 3, consider appointments / reappointments to various committees. Item 4, Parish President's Report.
Okay, I have a few things here I wanted to discuss. One being the Henderson control structure. It's been there since built in the early 60s, so that's putting a timestamp on this thing. This controls the water flow and the water levels in Henderson Lake. And it has not had any upgrades in a number of years. We have some Go Mesa money, Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act. These monies were initially used to rebuild the Butler Road Bridge. And the monies that were originally budgeted, it came in under $1 million to the plus. So we've been sitting on this $1 million. The only problem is that the Go Mesa money is very restrictive on what it can be spent on. And being that the Butler Rose Bridge is just an extension of that bayou, it would be very easy to go back and reapply in the application to get this money released to do the construction work that's needed on this control structure. I went to Huval and Associates, our bridge engineers. They came up with a tentative list of budgetary proposals. We can look at individually doing any one of these things. There is phase 4, which is a steel cover, which is it may be cost prohibitive, but again, my first step here is to come to you to request that we put in an application to get these Go Mesa monies released so that we can then come in and take care of this structure. We are mandated by, it's ours. We own this structure. So, and the, actually keeping the Henderson Lake viable and with at the water levels that are necessary and needed, we have no choice but to do this. I think this would be money well spent, And as I said, it's money that's very restricted in use, so there's not a whole lot of place we can use it, and I think we can use it in this place here moving forward. We can talk about, once it goes, I've already got it all lined up. I've talked to Jason Akers, the attorney. We did the original Gomesa application. Excuse me. So once it's put into play, I can come back and we can sit down, we can get with the Huval group, with the bridge engineers, and start looking at exactly what portions of this are these phases that we'd like to do to get this project done.
Mr. Delcom, do we have a timeline of when we have to spend this Gomesa money?
No,
There's
there's
timeline?
no timeline on this. In fact, we are, as you well know, we're within a time frame to work on these things. Let's say the hydraulics, portions of it, the building and so forth. However, the actual control structure can only be worked on from August to possibly October. This is the lowest point of water that's in that area, giving us the ability to work on this structure. Before that and after that, the water comes up to a level where it can't be worked on. The actual monies themselves are sitting in an account, waiting for a project to come that's viable. And I think this would be a project that fits into that slot. Okay, if we move on to, you have the sales tax 1 road improvements. Y'all gave a listing of roads in each one of your districts. We tried to be, I say as fair as possible, but I think we've looked at it, and from the council's perspective, I think you can agree, we looked at the roads that are in most need of attention right now. And there again, we have a listing of roads that may have been on the bottoms, not the bottoms of the list, but did not make this listing here. I make fun when I say we're not the federal government. We cannot print money. We can only use monies that we have accumulated, and the sales tax district is monies in hand, and we will spend the amount of monies that we have to take care of these roads. At this time, we have right at $4.5 million. We will max this out with the number of roads and the roads that you see on this listing. Any questions in regards to this? Again, this has been put into the hands of DDG engineering firm. They are, as we speak, working on the engineering of these projects. Hopefully by the end of second quarter into the third quarter, we can go out to bid. And that being said, I'm looking at possible construction starting the end of third quarter or fourth quarter of this year, and then moving into completion in 2026. Building annex. As a portion of the monies being used in this facility were capital outlay money. This money has to go through facility planning and control, a state agency that looks over the project and makes sure that everything is up to par in regards to state standards. FP&C came back a few weeks ago and said that we initially budgeted $1 million of this money to be put on this project. They came back to us a few weeks ago and said that 4.5% of this money must be deducted from the state allocation for state administration fees. So instead of $1 million, they are giving us $955,000, okay? And then they came back and said that they need to, we need to hold back another 5% in additional contingency fees, which is another $50,000. So to balance the books, they said they're requesting from St. Martin Parish government a resolution confirming that the availability of $95,000 is available to balance the final construction project as originally submitted. I would really not rather go back and start filing everything we've done because they have decreased the budget by $95,000. 45 will be taken, the other 50 is in contingency and it may not be taken at all. But we have to be able to give the availability of the additional $95,000. To do that, we would need to do a possible budget amendment and take monies from a fund balance or some funding within the parish government to be able to show this availability. So, that being said, I'm bringing it to you, as you know, doing a budget amendment, there's a 30-day process and other processes involved to get this taken care of. I wanted to bring this to you in this committee meeting to where if we need to have any continued discussion before we start the next process. You have the project listing in front of you of projects that are currently in process. I checked off internally Spanish Trail, the Highway 182. BNSF is actually starting the procedure of the electrical, doing the turnstiles and putting up the, they were saying it was at least another 2 to 3 months. They pushed it up in a priority listing and we'll be doing that within the very near future. So we'll be closing this, once that occurs, we'll be closing this deal out in the very near future, Ms. Carlisle, when you're concerned about that. The road improvements, the previous road improvements, we talked about that earlier on in this session with the substantial completion and the possible availability of monies that may be coming in on the back end. Stevensville Pump Station, Dawn Drive, substantial completion has been signed and we're in a 45-day lien period, so that project is in the process of closing. Boxcar Road, we sat with Mr. Adam Lachele with A&E. He is almost complete with the engineering plans. He is actively contacting the Corps of Engineers. A lot of this project will need to be done from the actual Vermilion River. We cannot work off of the road because it's just, it would collapse into the Vermilion. So we're in the process, being that we're this close with the engineering, we have contacted or will be contacting Corps of Engineers to get their input into permitting and where we need to go once this thing, the engineering is completed and we have a contractor looking to do the project. Courthouse renovations, scaffolding, I know we've seen it for the last 6 months, is beginning to be disassembled. We're April 24th, we'll be doing a final final walkthrough, and painters are doing final touch-ups. This project is coming to closure also. Herman Dupree Road, we had the bid opening received, and the recommendation letter from DDG has actually, we received that this morning, stating that the recommendation on this road is their approval of it, and they are recommending the contractor of record to be contracted to begin the process. Dalmal Road, we're in the process of completion. We've already sent a letter of substantial completion and tentative completion to Brobridge, bringing them back up to speed as to there was a decrease in the actual cost of the project and giving them a dollar value as to what their portion of the 50-50 split is going to be requested of them. One other thing, Mr. Chris, we brought up Bayou Manor project. We got back with FEMA. They had been sitting on it for 2 years. They are reevaluating that project. This was unknown to me. This project began with, what was the hurricane? Hurricane Gustav. In 2008, to give you a little reflection of how these government projects take. It took them 7, almost 8 years to do the first phase of the project. And since that time, with with new calculations of proposals, that's when everything was put on hold. So this project was actually started in 2008. There's $1.5 million of parish money, match money that's still in there. There is another $2.2 million of FEMA money that is in there and earmarked for this Bayou Manor project as it was originally scoped and classified, or if the project should be repurposed, either in that interior project or something in the area. So FEMA is now looking at that. So it's not dead in the water. I would think at this point in time, it would not be, there's $2.2 million that FEMA has. They cannot spend it anywhere else but this project or a repurposing of this project. I know we got $1.5 million in the bank in this. That's all been set aside for a number of years. But I would think that we should go after trying to get as much bang for our buck out of this project. And Mr. Tozer said that if we can do that, that would be a very good project to look into and to continue. So we're doing that. I will keep y'all up to date as to what's going on with that. That ends my presidential report.
Just one question, on Boxcar Road, do we have any kind of idea what that project, dollar amount, what we're looking at, or?
We had a 1.5 to 1.8 original budgetary number. We're into engineering right now. We have monies, emergency money set aside and so forth. The Alcee Bonaire project, we initially were doing 100% of use out of our drainage bond money. FEMA came in at a later point in time. There was a grant that was put onto the table. We are actively trying to get 100% of that grant used to be able to do that project. If that occurs, we would have $3 million available in our drainage bond money. That one of the areas that I think would be a very good use of would be this Boxcar Road. Again, we're dealing with FEMA, we're dealing with time. We do not have time on this project. We need to move on it now. I'm hoping that we can do it. If we have to use internal monies to do it, we have necessary monies. We can get with Mr. Sean. We've talked about it. We can bring that to all of your attentions as to different options that we may be able to use. And with the hopes of getting the Alcee Bonaire project done 100% by FEMA, and then being able to use that drainage money to be able to reaffirm and to repurpose back into the account that we'll be using. Right now, it's a juggling act, and I realize that it's not the best position to be in. We're blessed that the due diligence of the previous councils and parish president has, and the parish with the villages have given us the availability to be able to do an emergency project such as this. But I'm looking forward to and hoping that we can, again, juggle a little bit more and get some more drainage money put back into our bond to where we can use that in other areas of the parish.
I took a little time to go out there and look at it because I've been hearing about it, and it's not in my district, but the severity, it's serious. It's pretty bad.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot worse than what you can imagine. Till you get out there and try it.
We've lost the embankment. We're about to lose the road. And if that occurs, we'll start going into people's properties and residences, So as far as our, we don't have a choice. We need to, we're gonna do this regardless of wherever in the parish that something like this would occur. This is what St. Martin Parish is here for, so.
Item 5, reports. Statements of revenues and expenditures and balance sheet for March 2025 were submitted.
This meeting is adjourned. We are gonna go back to the previous meeting. How that works.
Item 1, Dr. Megan Simon, DVM, Country Place Veterinary Clinic, to share a building donation proposal for the St. Martin Parish Animal Shelter.
Dr. Simon?
Okay, thank you. This is actually Dr. Megan Seymour, Dr. Jackie Seymour. She asked me to do the talking because I talk a lot more than she does. Dr. Megan wanted to, donate a building to the St. Martin Animal Control Shelter to house cats. The building it would be a replacement building. It wouldn't be anything additional. It would replace a building right now that is falling apart, has had some mold issues, is not safe for housing animals at this point. Last price she got was an $11,000 building. It would be completely finished, would be transported to the animal control shelter, all included in what her donation is. She wants it specifically used as a cat kitten facility for those cats that are most likely to be adopted by parish residents. And they've even had people come in from other parishes to adopt from the shelter. The only thing that we would be asking the parish to come up with and support us with would be, one, to accept this donation, and two, to facilitate hooking the building up to electricity and water. That would essentially be the only cost on the parish's budget.
Any questions from the council? I think this is very generous donation. I've been to the animal shelter. My boarding cat died. And my little granddaughter, 6 years old, and last thing I wanted to do was for her to come home and didn't have a cat. So we went to the animal shelter, we picked up a cat, and look, it's worked out perfect. When we were there, there's plenty of cats. And Mr. Delco says this a lot, and it's one of our things that we mandated to have as an animal shelter, and we're fortunate enough to be able to fund this thing and get it done. So anytime we can get any kind of donations to the animal shelter, we really appreciate it. I know we get a lot of donations for food, for cat food and dog food and different things and all, and we appreciate the people that do donate, but I think this is very generous on your part, and I want to commend you on behalf of the council to thank you for what you're doing for donating this building, because it's going to go to a great need, because I know the other building is in dire need of replacement, so this will definitely be a good replacement building for it. So, Mr. Corbin?
Yeah, just to echo the same thing, thank you all very much, and it's a very generous donation, and I wanted to, Dr. Jackie and Megan, they're nice enough, every year they come to the Parish 4-H livestock show, and they vet check all the kids' animals for free, no charge, they don't have to get it done. They're always giving to the parish and to the community, and we really appreciate y'all, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the parish rabies clinic is coming up in 2 weeks, Peggy?
26.
The 26th, so something else to be aware of.
Thank you.
So we're set to go, we can,
Yeah, I guess it just follow, repeat, and make sure.
We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen,
okay,
yes, ma'am.
appreciate it, thank you, sir.
Not a problem.
Next meeting.
All right, thank you.
That's it. This meeting is adjourned.
So your video made it?